Hi out there in the YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in to number 26, which is UttraBhadrapada. The previous sign was UttraBhadrapada, but now we're in UttraBhadrapada. And this is completely in Pisces energy, so like the two fishes swimming in the opposite directions, well, it lies completely in that zodiac sign. But it's strange too, because before, in the previous sign, UttraBhadrapada, we had Aquarius energy, which is ruled by Saturn. And I said that we were moving out of that energy and moving more into a Jupiter energy, which is Pisces. But here's the clincher, okay, is that this sign's ruling element of the Nakshatra, UttraBhadrapada, it has Saturn as its ruling planet. So Saturn, even though we moved out of Aquarius, still got heavily strong Saturnian influences here, because that's its main ruling element in this Nakshatra. So even though it's got Jupiter from Pisces, it mainly, it's actually like the opposite of the previous sign, because the previous sign had Jupiter as its main ruling planet. So, see how it kind of reversed the energies in this sign? So even though they're very, very similar, this sign is a lot more, has more patience, is a little more reserved, still has that dual bipolar nature of the Pisces fishes, but yeah, we'll go into some more depth of it, because it's water, so it's pure emotional, it's mutable, being in Pisces, and so that means that they're adaptable, chameleon-like, and being that they're water sign, and Pisces is like the most psychic of the water signs, it has the ability of mirroring its environment. Not necessarily on purpose. I'm not saying they're like deceitful. I'm just saying that they tend to become like their surroundings. So depending on the group of people they're with, they're gonna behave differently. And it's is that the same person? It is. But it's that's the chameleon nature coming out here. But its class in the Vedic astrology is denoted as being warrior. But it's not nearly as aggressive as the previous sign. Being that it has Saturn as its main ruling planet. It has restraint, understands time, it's the god Kronos, higher learning, patience, reserve. Those are all qualities of Saturn. Whereas Jupiter is more outgoing and energy and juvenile. Even though they're about wisdom as well and spiritual growth, it's completely kind of a different energy. It's book smart, where it's and then there's playing in the forest smart, and just talking about stuff. It's not nearly as down to earth as Saturn, because Saturn is time, and all physical things are ruled by time. That's why in a lot of astrology, ancient art, if you look that up, Saturn being one of the most outer ones, and in Western astrology was the main ruling planet. Because it's time. All of the other planets fall within time. Even this moment is in time. So it's ruled by Saturn. But, yes, continuing. Yeah, so it's not as aggressive as UttraBhadrapada. Its nature is human. So, as I mentioned in the previous one, humans can actually cause much more pain or joy than angelic or demonic natures, because being neutral or kind of conscientious based, we can know the right or wrong from our consciousness. So this is all about attaining knowledge of the world and understanding right and wrong and the principles and dualities that lie within. Its ruler is Saturn, so higher educational knowledge, as I said, restraint, trials, tribulations, because things can't manifest in an instant because of time. If things were more woo and loopy, we could have our desires and wishes could be manifested instantly. But we got time, so Kronos has us in those handcuffs of time. Okay. Its symbol is the back part of a funeral cot, and the previous sign, UttraBhadrapada, and now we're in UttraBhadrapada. It represents the name meaning of the first and the second. So this is now like the second sign of the lucky feet, or the back two legs of a funeral cot. And it's a little more, because it has the Saturnian influence, it's about exiting this world in higher knowledge. And very similar to the previous sign, but without the Aquarius rebellion energy, and not so much Jupiter, and more discipline and restraint. For exiting the spiritual, for exiting the physical realm to be able to attain higher consciousness in the higher realms. It's seen as twins. I've normally seen it depicted as the bed example, or like the funeral bed, but it can also be depicted as twins, just like the previous sign. It could be depicted as two-faced man. Well, it's because of the fish here, and there's the dual nature of the fish, where there's like the good boy complex and the bad boy complex, and they're combined in this person, and they can shift and ebb and flow, just like with the waxing and waning of the moon. The moon, this sign would be almost more affected by that, being very emotional. The moon's influences are emotional, and like everyone's affected by this. I'm just saying that the more emotional signs, like the water signs, will tend to maybe feel this energy stronger than other signs. Its element is ether, and so in Western astrology there's just the 4 elements of earth, air, fire, water. And in this context, in Vedic, it's ether. And the ether flows between all the particles and atoms in space. And so within fire, it can exist within fire. There's the spaces between the matter. Within the earth, the hard physical, we know it's mostly empty space. And it's that ether of empty space in between that. It's the intangible. It's the... even emotional can be seen in an etheric realm. It's like the higher astral realms, dream states, dreams, imaginations, visualizations. Those are all in that realm of like spirit, and it's sacred. And the ether element can get along with almost all of the other elements for compatibility, because it doesn't really, on its own, it's just kind of invisible. It's when it comes into being around other people that it can take on shape and form. But it tends to just kind of emulate their shape and form. Because we got like Pisces the chameleon with ether. So, coming from the UttraBhadrapada. Its animal is a cow for sexual compatibility. And this is because it is docile and passive. As to the previous sign, which had a lion. So, a lot more dominating and a lot less caring. This sign is a little more caring and nurturing for that aspect. It's not very good for like intense, like passionate sex, but it's like very or animalistic. But it's very good in the sense of kind of tantric. It says because they're not really in a hurry. They take their time for things. They're like a cow. So in that nature of being docile and slow. So they're not very rushed. So. Yeah, it's a cow for compatibility. So other signs you would look up if it has the animal rulership of a cow. And then it shows the physical character traits that are more manifest in this realm for compatibility within sexual relationships. Even though there's a lot of other stuff going on, which the other facets and descriptions explain those. The myths associated, well, as I said, it translates to the later lucky feet, or the second lucky feet. And it's also in Vedic, in the Vedic astrology, it's very, very associated with, like, serpents of the depths. And the reason being for this is that they can kind of, like, go into the depths of spiritual realms, and like, of the water, because it even connects it to, like, the ocean, and in the Vedas it says that it's connected to serpent beings. So... but benevolent, like with good intent, it's just that kind of a serpent-esque nature. So, when it comes to the Saturn and higher knowledge and their life path, they can have more of a, because you might be thinking of cow and then we got serpent, but these all apply to the person in different psychological contexts, so they can still fall true. Yeah, so it connects to the serpent beings for their mythology. Main ideas associated are, it's the same as UttraBhadrapada, but it has more power to endure and to restrain, representing long journeys and journeys toward spiritual plane, the end of illusion, or the world of Maya, and the cultivation of higher character qualities. And then traits that are associated with this sign. It's very adaptable, chameleon-like, very hard to know. Their public versus private life are very separated. They are very wise and clever. Previously we had Jupiter, compared to now we have Saturn. They never act hastily, and they think things through first before acting. It's very similar to the previous sign, but wiser because of the Saturn energy. Very foresighted, so they really, really think things through, and it's not very often when things kind of like surprise them or curveball them, because they usually have given things quite a bit of thought. More exalted will cause compassion if it is used for positivity. So if there's exalted planets or Venus and things that are giving this energy, it can bring out more positive elements. Compared to if you had Saturn or something opposite this or squaring this sign, that could make it a little more harsh and bring out the more harsher tendencies and qualities. Because it's ruled by Saturn, it would be very heavily influenced by a square. They want to understand the universe, of the world that we live in, and they want to understand the functionings of the universe. They like to do everything in a controlled fashion, with care and restraint. And they like to understand others, and they are empathetic of others' lives. Destruction and war, similar to the previous sign, but less cruel. So, because Jupiter, even though it's like juvenile and happy, Jupiter can like, when they're angry, can like be really cruel and ruthless. Saturn, not so much so. They just kind of be like wall. Like they're not going to necessarily seek revenge. They would just, move away like a Saturn would do, compared to Jupiter, which would be more like wanting to like start a fight or something and be hurtful, like in their, because they both have tendencies when they're angry. So, and energies react differently depending on the ones incorporated. And this sign really has Saturn. Yes, they always think things through very hard before deciding on a solution. They can handle and make money very easily. The spiritual nature combined with Saturn makes them calculative and drawn to trying to understand the universal mind. Through different ways this can be achieved. For example, like astrology, numerology, yoga, meditation, and even like the Bible and different spiritual religious outlets all over the planet can help to funnel this energy to make it more positive. Because like the Pisces dual fish nature, it can help them to control their animal nature through understanding their animal nature, or their mazal, as Jewish people say. And yes, if Sun, Mars, or Jupiter is giving good qualities, like shining, like good conjunctions, or in a trine, or sextile in your chart, it can help to make them less shy, because this sign can be known for being a bit shy, and not necessarily wanting to take action so strongly as the previous sign would do. They're a little more restrained and reserved when it comes to that. Their appearance, they can appear very reluctant, passive, benevolent, with calm demeanor, which makes them very good at counseling. They have large bodies and broad shoulders. They are shy because of their dual nature, which makes their private life very separate from their public life, and there's that inner self of them that they often feel that they can't share to the world, because of the nature of the sign wanting to move from the world of the Maya and the physical illusion into the higher realms, like off the monopoly board, through moksha, and achieving higher dimensional consciousness. So, yeah, I hope that this video was beneficial and that you learned about either yourself or your partner, or just this sign if you're studying astrology and you're interested in all of this. So, hope that this was beneficial. Please like this and share it if it was applicable or you found the information helpful. And we'll see you in Revati, which is number 27. And then in that, we'll be completing the series. So, yeah, I'll see you in that one. Mwah.